I'd like to introduce Renee Gertin of CRI Council. CRI Council is something that most people likely haven't heard of. So give us a bit of a background of what CRI Council is all about and the objectives.
Well, the CRI Council is basically a building industry organization that was founded to address a growing issue of building industry waste. And we're primarily starting, our first focus is construction and demolition waste.
Even the name CRI Council, Construction Resource Initiative Council, is that right?
That's right.
And so really in there, the idea that what oftentimes we might think of as waste, you're considering a resource. So tell us a bit about that paradigm.
Essentially, as long as it is recoverable, that you can reuse it, that you can refurbish it, refinish to be something else, that you can recycle it, and nowadays that you can recover it for energy, it's really not a waste, it's a resource. So it doesn't belong in landfill.
So a practical application may be a house that is being demolished or an industrial building that's being demolished. The 2x4s, the drywall, the wiring, all that kind of stuff you're suggesting is actually a resource. It's not waste that should go to landfill.
That's right. It's waste. If it goes to landfill, then it is a wasted resource. As long as you can do something with it, because then we don't have to keep extracting out of nature faster than the earth can supply to us.
So really, it sounds like you're taking like the 3 R's that we kind of grew up from the blue box: reduce, reuse, and recycle. And you're taking those 3 principles and applying them to construction waste. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, on a larger scale, on a much larger scale. And we're also adding rethink. We're involving the people who get involved in the design process at the very earlier stage. So how they design the building materials and the buildings.
So today, big event today, the launch of Mission 2030. Really tell us a bit about that then, and why 2030? What's the mission about?
Well, Mission 2030 is that call to action to everyone related to the building industry to eliminate, with this hierarchy first in mind, that they will apply these principles, getting to 35% reduction by 2015. Increase that waste reduction so that by year 2030 there is no more construction, renovation, and demolition waste to landfill.
So that's the goal. Zero garbage going to landfill by 2030. To ask maybe the obvious question, is that really realistic?
Well, other countries have proven and demonstrated that we will have a lot of things to fix along the way to get there. Under the current system and the current practices and technology and consumption rate, no. If nothing changes, no. But if we apply some different principles and different approach with public sector and private sector, other countries have done it, and no reason we can't.
A lot of people may be thinking, they're at home and they're separating, they're putting the organics in the green bin and the recyclables in the blue bin and so forth. And they think they're doing their job. What are you talking about, and why this goal? How's that different from what the average person is doing in terms of separating out their household stuff?
What most people don't realize is that what they do at home it's the municipalities that take care of that and that management of that. For anything that is non-residential, the province each respective provinces that regulate this, and that it's actually a matter of free trade. So in other words, if it is construction waste or manufacturing waste, private industry handles it. The provincial government is the one that has the responsibility to regulate it, and it is protected by the North American Free Trade Agreement. So it can't actually end up in a northern U.S. landfill. So even if we banned all commercial waste from all provincial, Canadian landfills, as long as NAFTA is in effect, the waste can go to the states for a fraction of the tipping fee, and with all rights protected.
So then what kind of percentage of the overall garbage are we talking about here? I mean, is this just give us a sense of that.
Well, if you took a pie chart, residential waste is a third. Everything else that is non-residential, so industrial, commercial, institutional, which includes the construction waste, that's about 2/3. So it's definitely substantial. And if our efforts on the residential side are improving, that's great. But it's that bigger part of the chart that we really need to have an impact on and change.
So what you're saying is about 1/3 of the garbage that's going to landfill or that's being handled out there is kind of that municipal stuff, the stuff we're separating and so forth. But there's about 2/3 of total garbage out there that is likely just going to landfill. Is really what you're trying to get to.
Yeah, far too much of it, that's for sure. It's very, very hard to put a number on it because it varies from region to region.
So who's CRI Council looking to engage with? I mean, we've already established that this really isn't a residential or the person at home kind of issue. That's really not the person that you're targeting to get involved. You're looking to engage with who?
Yeah, let me just clarify that not in the first phase. It's going to be a process, but we will need the support of the public when we get a little further on. In the first phase, the primary key players that we're trying to engage are the building developers, the commercial building owners, the residential building developers, the architects, designers, contractors, trades, manufacturers, and waste haulers. So that handle these materials. So that's the first phase.
So those associations, the individuals in those associations, they want to get in touch with you. How do they go about doing that?
Well, we have a website, simply www.cricouncil.com, and all of our information is there.
You know, it's an exciting goal because I know even just from a layperson point of view, really, we don't have any idea how much garbage goes out there because a lot of this kind of goes sight unseen. As I heard one person say today, you know, a house was standing one day and 2 or 3 days later it was gone. And oftentimes we don't ask the question, so where did it go? And so that's really what you're trying to address here. And it's a huge job.
Yeah, and I think the most disturbing part is that in that where did it go, what we're starting to understand is much of it goes to less developed countries. We don't know what that is that contaminated? And we need to start having some ownership on the decisions that we make when we hire a building developer to build our home, when we choose to do a DIY at our own place, you know, how do we handle the waste that's going to come out of our home? Because that is C&D too, you know, so.
Exciting stuff. Yeah. Very good, Renee. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
That website again?
www.cricouncil.com.